Okay, I'm going to do a quick video on how to change out the bearings, front wheel bearing on a 1998 Ford F150 XL two-wheel drive. Okay, first thing I did is remove the tire. If you don't know how to do that, plenty of videos, pretty self-explanatory. I use channel locks to remove the dust cap. All right, just like that, rather than using a screwdriver. Next thing I'm going to do is remove these bolts here. It's kind of dark. These are 18 millimeter. I'm just going to remove this whole caliper hub assembly, or not a hub, but this bracket holds the caliper and the caliper itself. Going to come off in just one piece. And that's an 18 millimeter bolt. There's two of them. And an easier way to get the caliper bolts, I just turn the wheel all the way to the right on the other side of this on the truck. And it's much easier to get a wrench in there when they're super tight because these are rusted. Let me go to there. There's those bolts. Where are you? Okay, it's this bolt right here. All right, much easier to get to by turning the wheel. Simple. Okay, well, this one went really smooth. You can see where these bolts fit in the back on the back end, and they come out here and they secure this assembly to this hub here for your brake calipers. This came out pretty easy. You usually got to use one of these to pry the brakes apart, get the piston back, but I didn't have to do it on this one. Just tapped a little bit. Came out pretty simple. I'm gonna have to replace these calipers. They're all rusted. This truck was willed to me, and it was pretty rusty under here, so a lot of work I got to do to fix this, but it's cool. I like this little truck. When I do replace my old rotors, I use them as weights. Heck yeah. A lot of times you can just hang these up. A lot of people do that with bungee cords. I use this block. This is my all-purpose block I drive up on to do oil changes. I like it. It's safer than jack stands. This is I think it's a 6x12. I bought a 8-footer and split it in 4, and I put it under all 4 tires when I work on my vehicles. All right, now the next thing is this cotter pin. I gotta take this out with my tool. Okay, so I got this fancy dancy thing right here. Let's see how well it works. Get that cotter pin out of there. All right, look at all that grease. All right, hang on. I should have a camera stand for this, but I gotta use 2 hands. Okay, so there's the old cotter pin. Believe it or not, that was a challenge to get out of there, but I'm gonna replace that. Brand new ones. Okay, next is this little nut retainer. It comes right off. There's the nut that keeps this whole thing in, and it's pretty loose. All right, and this is actually a 1 1/16. As loose as that was, you don't want them too tight. Oops, let me get a better. Okay, that comes off. All right, and then this whole thing should just slide right off. Here comes the bearing. All right, here's the washer, and it's got indents in it, and I got these little grooves. I'm working with one hand here because I got a cover on my phone that doesn't fit in my stand. All right, so that's going to come right off. So let me just do that. So now the rotor is pulled out, which I'm going to reuse. Pull the front part of that bearing out. The OEM is plastic. My new ones are metal. All right, so there's that. I'll clean this up. Let me flip it over. There's the back bearing right there. This should pull right out. It's a little greasy, isn't it? Yeah, it is. Okay. Okay, so I had to pull this wheel seal off here. I got a brand new one for this. And there is the back end bearing. And normally, okay, look at that. There it is. Let me get, not a very good cameraman, obviously. Okay, so there's the inside. I'm gonna clean that up real good and pack the new ones. Oh, clean that out really good. I'm gonna keep the bushings, and the reason they look good All right, I'm just going to put the new bearings back in. This is a temporary job because ultimately I'm going to put new rotors on this, which are going to just change out the bearings anyways. And there's the truck there. So I got plans for it. I'm going to put cool wheels on it, cool rims. I'm going to paint this thing. So that's why I don't want to get too carried away. I just want to do preventive work on it. So those bushings look good. I'm going to pack it full of grease, put the bearings in a minute. Clean the spindle really good. Inside there, put some brake clean. This thing's 22 years old, 23, something like that. A lot of rust here on the Oregon coast. You get a lot of salt air. That looks pretty good. There's no damages. Nice clean. And I'm into this job 25 minutes so far, and that's with holding the camera. Okay, so now I got this outside seal on the outside of the rim, or the inside of the rim actually. This goes towards the motor. And I'm going to grease this up real good. I'll get back to you. What I did here is I took this tapered in bearing. It's already in there. And I greased it really good. I just gooped it inside and out. Pushed that grease through those little bearings and stuff in there. All right, greased the inside. Set the tapered side down in there. Greased it real good. Then I put this outer seal on. The reason why I'm showing it this way, because I don't want to touch my phone with greasy hands. So I tapped that seal in there, and I put this on top with this rubber mallet, just to bang it in evenly. It's pretty simple. With all that grease in there, it goes in real nice. Okay, so I'm packing that smaller bearing, really good in grease. Got it swimming in there. Like I said, I don't want to touch my phone with greasy hands. Then we're going to look at the spindle. All right, so I got that nice and cleaned up and greased up. I'm going to put some more grease on there and load that thing in there. So basically, put this bearing in. This is the bearing for the other wheel. And it just slides right in there. I greased the hell out of it and put the tapered in toward the motor. Fit it in there. And it spins perfectly. Oh, that's going to come out a little bit. Hardest part about this job is all the grease and trying to film it. But I'm into this without filming. This is taking me 25 minutes easily. Okay, I cleaned these up pretty good. They're a little rusted, but I used the brake clean, CRC brake clean, to get all that stuff off. So this is the nut. This is the nut retainer. And this washer goes on first. Okay, you can see how that's the worn out side. So that's actually going to go toward the inside. And so you can see that it's got flat sides there, almost like an oval. And there's these. Let's see if I could do this and film at the same time. That goes on just like so. Wham, bam. All right. This spindle nut was pretty loose. I'm seeing other videos where some people torque it down to like 30 pounds. But as loose as this was, I don't think I should. But let me see. Okay. See, it's pushing that wheel back in. Let's see if I can spin this. That sounds a whole lot better. All right, and this is just temporary, so I can go to the dump. I'm just going to hand tighten it. If I got an issue with it, I'll pull over and tighten it. I keep my tools with me. And then this little retainer here. All right, that retainer goes there, and then the cotter pin, which I'll do next. Okay, so right there. Now before I'm just going to do this on camera, and then you'll see the retainer. There's a hole right here. That marks where that cotter pin goes. That cotter pin's going to go just like that. And then I'm going to bend it up. But I'm going to grease the hell out of this real quick. And I don't want to turn my phone on. And then maybe I'll film the next wheel. Okay, it's all said and done except for one thing. I ran into a problem. That is the head on this cotter pin isn't big enough. Because the hole that goes down here, it will slide right through. So that's something I got to... I'm going to figure it out because I'm not going back into town 12 miles round trip just to go get the cotter pin. So I'm going to make this work. But anyhow, I'm going to send a link to the channel that I could find, that a DIY channel that I watched how to do this. And thanks for watching, people. It's hard to film and do at the same time. I'm not a professional cameraman or a mechanic. Have a nice day. Forgot one last thing. Okay, so I got that cotter pin on there, made it work. And then I took this to a brake shop the other day for a safety inspection. So they had all this stuff off, and I'm sure they checked that. So And I'm looking at other videos, and it seems to be the same with others. But this is dust cap. Let me put that on there. Okay, one last thing. I got that cutter pin to work, and I did call the brake place that inspected this the other day, and they said it was loose. It's fine. I'm going to take their word for it, so I'm going to tap this back in. It's that simple. All right, well, thanks for watching. Total time, about 30 minutes. Okay, I might as well go ahead and show how I put the caliper back on. Like I said, I'm not a professional cameraman. I just want to get this done. And people will say, well, why do you have your own channel if you're not a good camera guy? Well, that's why my channel name is Insane Seafarer. I'm freaking nuts. So what I had to do is I had to pry these brakes back a little bit, push that piston back so I could fit it onto that disc right there on that rotor. All right, let's see. Oh, man. Look at that. You can't even hear it. It just sounds so good. There's no play. Piece of cake. All right, let me try to put this caliper on. Okay, so that caliper's back on. And rather than pulling the caliper off and then the plate, the anchor plate, I just pulled the plate off, took the whole thing off. It's just these two bolts. It was a, let's see what it says here. It was a, oh, come on now, 18 millimeter. And according to Google, 184 foot-pounds of torque for these two bolts for the anchor plate. All right. Okay, I think I'm finished now. The rest is self-explanatory. Put tires on. This is just for the bearings. Thanks for watching, people. I enjoy all the comments too, whether they're sarcastic or cool.